Oh, yes. This is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. And we're live. Here we go. Here we go, everyone. This is going to be a fun one, fast, hilarious. I'm excited, full of energy. The guest today, man, so humbled to have him on here. Not only is he a marketing strategist, but he is a brand enthusiast. He's an evangelist, and we're going to talk about how that fits into marketing and talk about how video fits into marketing. He's an author of Rehumanize Your Business, the host of a podcast called the Customer Experience Podcast, Chief Evangelist at BombBomb, Ethan Beute. How are you, sir?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the invite. And I too am looking forward to having some fun here.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's have fun. I mean, the theme for today, I was kind of hinting at it with your introduction, the idea of video and the idea of evangelizing the company you work at and marketing. How does it all fit together? And so to start out, let me pick this thing up. It's kind of heavy. Let me pass it over to you. That's Thor's hammer. So go ahead and take that and smash for me some kind of marketing myth or some bogus strategy you've been hearing out there, or just some misconceptions that just drive you up the wall.
Sure. I will, of course, do it around video, and I'll do it a couple different ways. I'll do a big smash, and then I'll smash some of the smaller pieces.
Yes.
The big one is that video needs to be expensive and time consuming, and that it requires specialized skills and specialized knowledge, and that a simple video like a webcam video or a smartphone video is not good enough. All of that is false. There are multiple ways to use video. Video is not a strategy or a tactic. Video is just another way to communicate your message. It's another way to connect with your customers and future customers, with your employees and your future employees, with your strategic partners and your potential strategic partners. All this, it's just a way to package your message and share it with another person. And so I think if we can get past this idea that I need an animated open and I need lights and scripts and editing and production and all of this stuff in order to participate in something that is so widely and crazily available. I mean, I've been with BombBomb for about a decade in full, 2 years part-time and almost 8 years full-time, or it will be in about a month. And so, you know, back when I started, internet connectivity was garbage compared to what it is today. So the idea of live recording a video is challenging, and people receiving it and playing it back without buffering was challenging because our internet speeds were not nearly as good. And our webcams were very low resolution and blurry, and our smartphones, I mean, the iPhone didn't even exist when this company was founded.
Really?
Yeah, it was like 6 months before Steve Jobs even announced it. And of course, the first iteration, I don't think even had a video camera on it. It only had photo camera. So, you know, we've just come so far. We have so many great tools available to stop relying on plain typed out text and instead get face to face a little bit more often. And so the big myth is I need to hire someone, or I need to outsource production, or this is the job of the marketing team or the creative team or the production team to get this done. Everyone in the company, like if you look at BombBomb and at other companies that have adopted video this way, of course, we use it in marketing, one-to-many, triggered, and truly one-to-one. We use it in CS, and we've seen amazing reduction in time spent on tickets, increase in first call resolution, increase in people filling out satisfaction forms. Of course, we use it to set appointments, confirm appointments, follow up after appointments. We do what we're doing now, you and I are doing with live synchronous video. All of our sales calls are on Zoom, and we all turn our cameras on because it's all about trust, relationship, face-to-face. And so you can, if you're sitting on the video sideline and thinking, what's it like, I'm not ready to do this. You have everything you need to get started. All you need is a little bit of that courage to be simple, conversational, and casual. And people will love to see you, and the replies and responses, I think, will be gratifying to you. They'll validate the effort, and they'll remind you that this is a different and more personal and more human way to work.
You know, I love this, and I've definitely felt or like believed or got caught up in the myth itself, because I think we all kind of understand that, the best thing would be to be in the same room with someone if you can. And if you can't, what's the next best thing? But I've been caught up with the whole, I've had some video partners and some other video vendors who will, they'll swoop by and they'll teach you how to use white, backdrops, and you need special lighting and all this. And it's like, first of all, there's so many details. Am I going to get it right? And then I got to rehearse. And then and then how, and the best ways to rehearse, it just seems like such a movie. And I think a lot of marketers these days and just people in companies are busy. You don't have time to do the scripted thing. So it's a great thing to hear that you don't necessarily need that high production value movie like set to convey a message.
Correct. I mean, that stuff does have its place. We have a professional on staff who shoots a ton of photos and videos, video editing professional. We have lights. We have a room in the office that's kind of a shared resource that looks a little bit like a set. The lights are always set up so you can get in there and flick it on. So we do that. The way Steve and I, my co-author on Rehumanize Your Business, and our CMO, and a guy that I love, and we've worked side by side for years together.
Yeah.
You know, we set on the side, we draw a simple line here, and we call it marketing through video. That's marketing through video: light, scripts, editing, production, polish, gloss, etc. And that has its place. It's super useful. If you're already doing it, keep doing it. There are more and more platforms to distribute it. There are better measurements than ever before. Do that. But if you're doing that, also consider this other side, which we call relationships through video. And if you're doing neither, relationships through video is an easy place to start. You don't need scripts. You just need to look at the touch points in your relationship with your customers and future customers and find these moments where you want to be a little bit more impactful, or you want people to feel like they know you before they ever meet you, or you want to save some time by talking instead of typing, or you want to explain something more clearly, or with like a screen recorder, which we have built into many of our recording instances.
Right.
You want to walk people through the back end of a website or a report or a document, or want to do that show and tell. There's so many places to do this. Just like, hey, I could have written you 3 paragraphs, but instead I just hit record. Here's the answer to your question.
Right. Right. And I think because of that method, people don't expect it to be a movie,
Correct. It's really interesting. I've been hearing something. I'm going back about 4 years now. I've been hearing stuff anecdotally from some of our best customers who are doing both. They're doing all kinds of video and all the platforms available. And they have studios or in their garage or their office or whatever. And they're doing video in YouTube and Facebook and, an emergent Instagram at the time and all of this. And they say, the videos that generate the best engagement, the best response are my simplest ones, where I strip away all the stuff and I just, talk to people. So what's most engaging? And so I ended up turning some of that and this burgeoning philosophy into something we called at the time the Shiny Authenticity Aversion. And it's this idea. It's kind of like a slight update or modification of some of Seth Godin's observations about the television industrial complex. He would say, and his is much bigger and more substantial. Mine is a nuanced and microcosm of it, I think. But it's this idea that, if you could afford to have a commercial produced and you could afford to run it on network television or cable television or whatever, that that was enough to buy trust. Like, oh, these people must be super legit. They're on my TV, they're on the store shelf, and it buys trust. And what I was seeing and hearing and experiencing myself, I've sent over 9,000 videos myself, was that there's been an inversion, that we're all so familiar with the gloss and the polish and production that we see it coming a mile away and instantly our guard goes. The same thing. Like when you're walking a car lot and you think you're safe, just kind of looking in the windows and looking at the mileage and checking out the cars. And then all of a sudden you feel someone beelining toward you, and that you just get that sensitivity, like, all right, here comes a hardcore sales pitch. And you just want to I'm just browsing. It's the same thing when the video opens with a big animated preview. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think we immediately our sensitivity is, okay, here comes something that is packaged in order to sell me something. And so The
Put your guard
inversion,
up, right? Put your guard up
correct,
because it's
right.
coming. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And it's not necessarily, I hate these people, I'm not going to listen. You know, I played the video for a reason, probably, unless it's interruption marketing, to use another Godin phrase. But it's, you know, can still be good, right? I forget the
Yep.
classic advertising genius from a century ago, but it was something like, you know, people don't read ads, they read what interests them. And sometimes that happens to be ads, right? Like
Ah,
sometimes we actually want the message. Point being, though, the way to build trust now is to be more yourself and to strip it away and just be honest with people and direct with people. This is me in my cubicle or in my office or walking down the street or safely parked in my car. Never record videos while driving. It's super dangerous and stupid. Um, you know, so when you strip that stuff away, that immediately buys trust.
yeah.
And so that's the inversion that's happening there. And then the interesting thing was, less than a year later, Content Marketing Institute, I don't know if you follow them, but they
Yeah.
produced a great conference, great website, really good stuff. A guy named, I think his name was Victor Gamez, published a piece called Visual Realism. And in it, he validated what some of my thoughts that I'd organized as this Shiny Authenticity Inversion. And he basically ran down major brands like Coca-Cola, Beta brand, Levi's, and did a like a lightweight analysis of the way they were dumbing down the quality of their photos and videos in order to become more trustworthy, in order to seem more authentic. And so here we
Wow.
are as, you know, small and medium-sized business owners or even mid-market companies, like trying to figure out how to harness the resources to build our way up and to produce this amazing glossy video that everyone's going to be knocked out and impressed by. And we, you know, show it to the executives and they're like, wow, 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 I'm so glad we spent 15K on that video.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are geniuses. You know, while we're trying to do that chase, these multinational companies with, you know, I don't know what their revenue is, but easily in the billions, right?
Yep.
Are trying to come down market in order to be more trustworthy. And so if you're sitting on the sidelines thinking, I'm not good enough, I can't do this well enough, I don't have the resources to do it. Well, guess what? The people with more resources than anyone listening to this podcast, unless you're from a Fortune 500 company, you
Right.
know, put together, I know you and I, Casey, put together couldn't, you know, come anywhere near their resources.
Sure.
You know, while we're trying to chase them, they're trying to be more like where you already are and what you're already capable of doing, which is connecting on a truly human level through a simple personal video that's eye to eye, face to face, and far more effective in so many spots. Not every spot, but in so many spots compared to the faceless digital communication that we tend to entrust every day with our most important and valuable messages.
I love that. I love that. And what came to mind when you were talking about that inversion, and I love the shiny authenticity inversion, was people we keep trying to get the cooler and cooler looking Instagram photo that looks like a professional photographer took it. The phones are getting better and better, and you can get those amazing photos with you on the beach. You know, maybe not me on the beach laying luxuriously somewhere, but you know, we keep trying to get in that direction. And fascinating, you can learn a lot from enterprise if they've done the math and they've realized, hey, we need to reduce the quality on these things. Then that's great. We don't have to try to get there. And also that quote you had, sometimes the simplest videos get the most engagement. Amazing. I mean, it's such a great, that encourages me in the idea of the authenticity that comes from that to start doing it. Now, that thought that kind of creeps up in your head when you talk about sending those lower quality videos is, does that make me look like I don't have it put together? I know it's kind of related. It's
Yeah. So,
authentic,
so
but do I look like a hack, you know?
yeah, you tapped into this earlier, which is, you know, the context really, really matters, right?
Okay.
You're not just gonna flip open your MacBook, hit record on QuickTime and record a video and put that up on your homepage to represent your company, right? Like, but you might, if a
That's true.
customer inquires like, hey, I see this and I see that, so I wonder about this other thing. Instead of typing out a reply or sending multiple links that when they get it, it starts to look like a homework assignment.
Right.
If you just instead reply and say, hey, it is just such a privilege and pleasure to have you checking out some of the solutions that we're providing for thousands of people just like you. I just want to put a face with the name and give you an answer to your question and let you know that if you have any other questions like that, I'd be happy to answer those too. In the
Right.
meantime, you know, if you just want to jump on a one-to-one appointment, happy to do that too. My calendar link is down below. It'll round robin to my 3 teammates. In fact, turn the camera. Here they are right behind me.
Yeah.
We'd love to do that with you.
Sure.
We're all right here in for us, Colorado Springs office. And we're here for you. We'd love to be a part of the way you're, growing your business.
Got it. So I love that.
It's
It's the context.
matter.
The
Correct.
context matters
Yeah.
for this. Yeah. Where
Yeah.
you put it.
Yeah,
And,
you're not going to take my lighting right now isn't great. I'm not in my office. I'm at
sure.
my dad's place, and I'm just in the corner of a bedroom, and I'm not going to record a video here and put it up on the BombBomb YouTube channel.
Right.
Unless the content's super amazing. But I've standing here at this desk in the past couple of weeks, I've had the privilege of spending some time with him. I've sent easily 120 videos standing right here at this desk.
Right.
So it's, you got to pick your spots.
And what are the spots then? What are the ones you should?
So I'll go to where you should give extra consideration and extra effort, maybe even extra budget, which is, I say, long shelf life, high volume. So if this is, again, like a homepage video or, an important YouTube video that's going to be on your channel and conveying this information for years to come, right?
Yeah.
Large audience, right? So this might be, I've done both with the BombBomb newsletter. We're sending that to about 100,000 people.
Wow.
And, sometimes I'll go ahead and produce a video, but a couple times, if it's like back when I was a one-person marketing team, I'd get in a pinch. Now the audience wasn't that big at that time, but when I would get in a pinch, I might just knock out a quick webcam video in my office, and no one replied and said, man, what's this garbage? This looks like a webcam video, instead of me taking my tripod and setting up my nice camcorder, my DSLR, and, getting out to one of the parks on the west side of town with a beautiful mountain backdrop, and all this stuff, so it's, but, long shelf life, large audience, high value, right? Is this a really important piece? And so if it's a video for email and it's going to go to a lot of people, or it's going to be I'm going to put it in this email, and this email is going to go out every time X happens, and X happens dozens or hundreds of times a day or a week. Yeah, you might put a little bit of extra care into that. You're not necessarily going to wing it, and you're not necessarily just going to do a simple underproduced thing. You might, even sitting in your office here, you might raise the camera up so I don't see the ceiling lights. You might, but you're nicely lit. I assume there's a window in front of you.
Yep.
Or off to the side.
There's a window right in front of me. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That beautiful natural light.
Totally. I mean, so you might fix some things up, but you could. Yeah. Anyway, point being,
you got me worried about the lights now.
no, it looks great. So only if you're just going to reply or reach out to 5 or 10 prospects, there you go.
Good. That would look really good. Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, it's I'll broaden this out. This is about any effort you're undertaking. How much time should I put into this? And then you flip it over and say, what's the impact?
Right.
And so, the higher return, the more you can invest in terms of time and resources. The same thing, if we wind up getting into tech touch versus human touch, right? When do I have a human reach out, and when do I let an automation handle that instead? It's it depends. How important is the impact? How often does it happen? How have people responded in the past, et cetera, et cetera. And so there are places where lightweight isn't just appropriate, it's actually better.
Right. And you mentioned automate. Could you drop some of these into a drip campaign?
100%. Yeah. So, and so an easy tip there is, what is the trigger for this initiation, right? If it's the start of a drip sequence, what are the 3 rules or 6 rules in your database that are going to trigger the initiation of this? And how closely can you speak to that one person who's getting it? Is it going to go to 100 or 1,000 or 5,000 people? Yeah, it is. If the criteria is met and it keeps triggering, people are all staggered in it like a drip campaign.
Yeah.
But you're going to speak to that one person, and where are they at the time? Typically, you're going to have a drip campaign when people are transitioning from one place to the next, right? From free trial to new customer, or from person who downloaded the guide into person who should be on an appointment, or, person who is signed to join our team as a new employee but hasn't yet started? What are the 3 to 5 most common questions they have? And can I address, 1 or 2 or 3 of those with a video and blend in that campaign to mix it up? That's another thing too, is I'm not going to tell you that you need video for every single piece of communication. In fact,
Right.
like anything else, if you were trying to set appointments with your prospects and all you did was call them on the phone, you didn't text them, you didn't email them, you didn't send any direct mail, you didn't run any retargeting ads, you just kept picking up the phone and like call. That's not a winning formula. You need to mix it
Right.
up because different people
Yeah.
prefer different channels. And I would say the same thing with video is, you can overdo it as well. And so you just need to, again, pick the spots where like, where's there emotion or subtlety or nuance or, some of those really wonderful connective human experiences that are lost when you go to faceless digital typed out communication. Where can you explain something a little bit more clearly just by talking in layperson's terms and
Right.
set people at ease? Where do you want to have people feel like they know you before they meet you? And so you pick some of those spots to inject some video. And going back just to close this down, to answer your initial question, yes, you can record a simple video or even produce a video, put it into drip emails 1, 3, 4, and 7.
Okay.
And it can be really effective for all the reasons we've already kind of discussed.
Yeah, I love that. Another challenge I have for you. I feel like I'm just lining you up at the firing range. I
Please.
want to really mash out these sort of follow-on myths. It's almost like people get that video is powerful, but then there's all these other things. And one of the thoughts that can come to mind when I'm feeling a little cynical or a little snarky and I don't have that abundance mindset, I can sometimes get to the think about, well, am I being authentic or how? But what if I get perceived as like being cheesy? And do you get perceived as like I'm sending you a cheesy video or?
Yeah. So good, great question.
Yeah,
Perfectly fair. And that's a really human reaction. Okay. So I'm going to go really big and then we'll get really specific.
sure.
Really big is, all of this is about vulnerability. It's
Ah,
about fear of judgment and ultimately fear of rejection. And I don't mean this in an immediate sense, like, are they not going to take me up on my call to action? Are they not going to click my link? Are they not going to schedule with me? Are they not going to
right.
return my email? Like whatever the case may be, like whatever you're asking them to do, whatever opportunity you're creating. I'm talking much, much bigger. I'm talking like lizard brain, like, am I going to get kicked out of the tribe? Like none of us
Yes.
wants to be judged and none of us wants to be rejected. And so that's what's going on here. And it's ultimately comes down to, am I good enough? Am I going to be accepted? With like,
Yeah.
and
It's
I
like we're at
know
Tony Robbins event or something,
yeah,
at this
you
point.
totally. I know it sounds soft, but that is the really underlying thing there. And so if you have confidence in yourself, if you have sincerity about what you're offering as a salesperson or a marketer, this is 100% winning play. Some people think they need to be a video person, right? This is just basic growth mindset stuff.
Right.
I'm not a video person. I like to flip that and say, or not flip it, but tack onto it. I'm not a video person, yet. Right. So a lot of
By
people
video
think
person, do you mean like I'm not a
I
video
don't
person?
have a dynamic personality. I'm not
Right.
the
Well,
kind of
I
person who
have a
can,
face made for podcasts, not for
right,
TV kind of thing. Yeah.
right. But this goes back to what you said before. I am going to be at my best. I'm going to be most effective. I'm going to build rapport better. I'm going to have people not forget me. Not
Yeah.
again, not because I have some big boisterous personality necessarily, but because of who I am, period.
Yeah.
Period. One of our more prolific senders, he sent about 7,500 videos. Really soft-spoken guy. He's a real estate agent in Oklahoma City. Super casual, mellow, you know, and he sent 7,500 videos. And I say a couple things here. One, you don't send 7,500 videos if they're not effective.
True.
But what do you do in your life 7,500 times that is not, constructive? Besides maybe gamble if you have a
Seriously.
compulsive personality, right?
Yeah.
Like, so from a sales and marketing tactic standpoint, you don't do anything 7,500 times if it isn't better than what you were doing before.
Right.
And you don't get to 7,500 videos if it's not quick and easy, which goes back to this idea of, the more you tell yourself that the only way to proceed is with lights and scripts and budgets and maybe even actors, not actors, but like
Right.
someone assigned to deliver this video besides me,
Right.
you're never going to get there because it's just too slow. You need to be able to just hit record, say what you need to say, stop, send, right? And so, are some people going to say, I don't like this? Yes, I hear it all the time. Some people treat video like it's a parlor trick or a gimmick I say, again, as I said, video is not a strategy or a tactic to me. It's just another way to communicate your message. So if
Right.
you accept this idea, this is a really common thing now, especially if you spend time on LinkedIn or listening to podcasts. It's like, it's not B2B. It's not B2C. It's all H to H. It's all human to human. That's what this is about. This is about you leading with your very best sales asset, which is you.
Which is
That's how we connect to brands and companies. It's like I'm right now in the process of evaluating some cars, and I'm a big consumer reports guy, so I know what I like, I know what I'm looking for. There are costs and benefits and
what are you looking
trade-offs.
for?
Um, I'm looking at any advice you have here would be great. I'm looking at a Volkswagen Golf All-Track,
Okay.
which Consumer Reports like. They currently gave the new one like an 82 or an 86, something like that. And I'm looking, of course, at a Toyota Prius, which is by far the responsible decision in that it gets double the miles per gallon.
Right.
If you look at their 10-year chart, it's all greens. Like, this thing is just insanely reliable and gets great gas mileage, but it's not going to be very fun to drive. It doesn't have high clearance, which can be useful for us in inclement weather and a lot of the trails that we have in Colorado. So but the sales rep has so much effect on me, and I know it. Like, as a professional, I'm like, I know I should not be affected so much by how professional the response is.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say which is which, but one of them, and I'm really tossed up on which vehicle is the right one for me and my family. And both of them are decent deals, but the sales rep is significantly clouding one of the opportunities. I'm like, doesn't respond in a timely manner, isn't clear in
Oh.
his communication, like doesn't make me, doesn't,
Bait.
well, he just doesn't walk me down the yes, yes, yes trail. He's like so casual and
Yeah.
lacks attention to detail. And I'm like, gosh, how much could I let this guy affect my decision? Anyway.
Well, I Googled it, man. That nice white Golf all track on top of a mountainside. It's looking good, man. It's looking good.
Right.
I mean,
But then when I get real, I'm like, I'm driving this to work and I'm driving up to Denver sometimes. And,
oh, you're
gotta,
in Colorado?
yeah,
You got snow over there sometimes,
I know these are the things I'm working
four-wheel
out.
drive, man. You got to get that. That looks good. Okay, I took you on a sidetrack though.
It's
So
good.
you're shopping cars. So what is the whole? Was the
The
challenge?
point there is like the salesperson, when I say yes, part of what I'm saying yes to is who you are.
Right.
Product, service, terms, conditions, price, warranty, all this stuff matters. But ultimately, when people say yes, they're saying yes to who you are. So as you are listening to this podcast, whether you're in sales or marketing, you represent a product or a service. And when
Yeah.
people say yes, it can be a macro yes. Like, so for me, it's going to be the signed contract and payment. Or it could be a micro yes, which is, again, scheduling an appointment, returning a phone call, clicking through and filling out your form, initiating that free trial, or whatever the case may be. There are
Yeah.
micro yeses and macro yeses, and people have said yes to you. And part of what they're saying yes to is who you are and the trust and rapport you built. So why hide behind the keyboard when you can get face-to-face earlier and more often?
Why hide? Yeah, but I'm glad you went there to the vulnerability, because my follow-on question is, you mentioned you just got to have a little courage. What is your recommendation for people? I heard hit record and go.
Yeah.
And um,
And that comes from surveying hundreds of our most successful customers
okay.
intermittently over the past several years. And they invariably say something like, just do it. The most aggressive way is get over it or get over yourself. The softest way is work through it, right? You need to work through your own stuff around it. And so specifically, you need to practice. This is a new skill. As my co-author Steve Passanelli likes to say, there was a day when all the sales reps showed up at the office. I don't know how long ago this was. I don't know my history that well. It could have been 100 years or 120 years or something.
Sure.
There's a day when all the salespeople showed up at the office for the sales meeting, and they all turn around to go about their day, and there are phones on all the desks. And they're like, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this? I don't sell by telephone. What is this new device on my desk? I'm used to walking into people's offices and handwriting letters to people and
Right.
right. And so this is behavior change. This is a it's a new skill, right? So you're not going to pick up the French horn or pick up a lacrosse stick or pick up a book on the Mandarin language and instantly master it. It's just a fool's errand to even entertain the thought, right? Just like, you know, you're not going to learn to ski by reading a book about skiing and looking at pictures of people skiing, right? So you need to practice. And by practice, I don't mean act like you're recording the video. I mean, you actually have to record it. And I don't mean record the video and don't send it. I mean, record and send the video. I mean, this is a classic one. Of course, I go to a lot of conferences and I see a lot of video presentations, not just the style of video we've been talking about here, but, you know, all kinds of video. And what a lot of people love to do, and I love it too, it's super entertaining, is they'll scroll down to the beginning of their YouTube channel 7 years ago and play their first video, and it sucks. You know, like it shows how bad the technology was at the time. It shows how little they knew about the technique at the time. It shows how uncomfortable they were, or how much less comfortable on camera they are now than they were then. And it'd be the exact same thing for me. When I started, we didn't even have a live video recorder because, again, internet, A, we hadn't built it, and B, internet connectivity was not such that it could reliably sustain a live ingestion of a video at any decent quality. And so I had an old flip cam. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like 4 times thicker than your iPhone. And about a fraction of the quality. And then you like flip out the little arm and plug it in by USB and offload your videos onto your laptop and upload them and whatever. They sucked. The resolution was bad. I was uncomfortable. I wasn't quite sure where to put the camera, but I'll tell you what, my 8th video was better than my 2nd one. And my 80th was better than my 20th. And my 8,000th was better than my 2,000th.
Have you gone back and seen your first one? Can they find it?
Honestly, no joke. And I've tried. If I put an engineer on it, if I felt like it's important enough to distract someone, I think I could. But honestly, my account has over 8,000 videos in it, and I use multiple accounts. So I'm again somewhere over 9,000. And so when I scroll, you know, what BombBomb does in order to make that video page load quickly is, you know, it populates the last 10 or 12.
Right.
And then, you know, you scroll and automatically queues up the next one. So you can imagine how long it's going to take to get down to 8,000.
Get an intern to scroll back on that for you.
Totally. Like 4 hours later, like,
and then the browser freezes up and they have to restart.
Anyway, even in the YouTube channel, or I started a Flickr account back in the day because I was using Flickr personally. So I lit one up for the company. I just lit up all the social channels when I came on. You can see some ugly old videos.
Sure. And I think back to, I haven't looked at it, but I probably should for giggles. Go look back at the first podcast I ever did.
There you go. Perfect. Go look back at the first fill in the blank.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. First email you sent, the first anything you did. Probably a little kludgy. And then you kept doing it and you kept doing it. I love that advice from other successful customers. Get over it. Just do it. Or in the commerce side, hey, work through it. You got this.
Yeah.
I do like
and accept that that's a normal part of the process. Like, what aspect of our lives do we think we can do something the first time and just be amazing?
Right.
Like it's just so unreasonable. So why do we do that here? Likewise, in terms of working through it, you have no problem showing up for an appointment. Do you think about it a little bit in advance? Sure. Do you maybe check yourself in the mirror before you go into that meeting or that appointment that really matters? Yeah, totally you do. But while you are conversing or presenting or, you know, walking through the proposal, you're not all in your own head like, how does my voice sound right now? Oh, I just said, I better, you know, ask to undo that sentence and redo it. Like all this silly stuff.
Edit that out.
Yeah. Like if you ran into a client in a parking lot or in the produce section of your grocery store and they were like, hey, how are things going? Or, hey, I've been thinking about something related to your business. Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah.
You're not going to like, hold on, I'll get back to you. Or like, you know, turn around and then turn back around again. Like, okay, I meant to do it this way. Yeah. Right. So it's like, you're a competent professional. People have said yes to you. You know what is going on. You're sincerely convinced that you have a solution that's of value to people and you're open to discovering whether or not it's appropriate for this specific person. Like, why do we think that because we don't normally see ourselves and hear ourselves that it's any different than what we're doing today on a Zoom call or on a phone call or in person? It's not.
How does customer service and CS, how does this fit into it? Because we were talking earlier, just the whole idea of that whole journey, so we've got sales potentially starting to use video, we've got marketing thinking about it, and maybe not even as it pertains to video, but you're getting marketing and customers, after the deal is signed, not just dropping
Yep.
off the cliff there. What's your take on that these days?
Yeah, I am on my podcast. I had a great guy from a company called Swim Lane up in Denver, and one thing that he does is he'll often get the salesperson and the CS person, or even the CEO. Sometimes he can get the CEO to do a personal welcome video for that transition from I've made the commitment, I've signed the contract, and on the company side, you want to try to wash out any buyer's remorse whatsoever and still feel like you're in good hands. And so you can do the video with the salesperson and the CS person where they introduce, like, this is your new account manager. Or again, an executive sponsor. I've heard this story too, is that you can match the executive sponsor to the type of person. So like if you're signing up CIOs and VPs of infotech and whatever else, maybe you get your most equivalent person to do a welcome, like that kind of a thing, we are going to do this together. From the practical, like support and service side, again, from the marketing and sales side where I prescribed, and it's not genius, so I'm not that great, but basically logical. Think about the frequently asked questions. And so what are the 5 most common support tickets or inquiries that your support and service team gets? Record a video with the answer or even a walkthrough or an explainer, and you have it at hand. And so you still field that phone call or you still take that email, but now you can follow up and say, here's the video. And the cool thing about the video is they can watch it multiple times, right? Mm-hmm. So if they need someone else to know that solution, not just can you send it out to 4 people today who wondered about that, and 2 people tomorrow, and 8 people the day after, and all that. Even though you only made the 2-minute video once, you can use it over and over and over and over and over again, because it's your 3rd most common support request. But in addition, each person can watch it over and over again on the recipient side, or even forward it to other people on their team that need to know the same answer the same question. And so that's one way, and that's that can deal where you use it once and you continue to get mileage out of it.
Right.
And then another way too is, like, especially after a support call, we like to, and almost all of our reps do this, and they enjoy it and they get great responses from it. And then I'll give you one more after this. They just follow up, like, with whatever your prescription was. Hey, it's Ray with BombBomb. I just want to say thanks so much for reaching out to us. Sorry again that you had that really interesting and confusing experience. I know we walked through it. I just want to remind you of the 2 things that we left the call with. You need to be doing this, and this is another thing that you might think about.
Right.
If you ever need anything, we're all here for you. Take care. Have an awesome day. And so it's just that extra touch that reminds them, right? Because they probably, the call might have gone long and they're like, I need to run away and I kind of forgot about the details. And it shows this level of care. The interesting thing about this style of videos, you cannot fake the time and attention. Mm-hmm. You cannot fake that. Hey, Casey, I want to thank you for the time on the call today. And I sent you a 54-second video where I basically did what I just said. You can't fake that. And that is a level of care and attention that allows the customer to be seen and heard. And again, to go macro level, that is all any of us want as human beings. I need to be seen. I need to be heard. I need to be understood. That's it. That's why we wear the clothes we wear. That's why we drive the cars we drive. That's why we, do the things that we do, is like, I need to build an identity, hopefully develop an identity for myself, have other people validate it, recognize it, participate in it, help me evolve it. Like, I need to be seen and heard. I need to be in connection with other human beings. And so that little gift of time and attention, that's the extra piece, is super, super valuable. And it's what takes someone from, I read an awesome book recently called The Effortless Experience, and it's a deep, deep CS analysis of over 97,000 customer interactions, and I think hundreds or potentially thousands of CS executive and practitioner interviews. And, any contact with your customer support team is far more likely to result in disloyalty than in loyalty. A lot of people think that, if I can just get this customer on the phone, it's going to be a good thing. And I forget what the factor is. I'm going to make it up. It's something like you're 4 times more likely or 8 times more likely to create disloyalty than loyalty, because there's so many ways for it to go wrong, which leads me to the last thing I'll share here is, and this came when I was interviewing a couple people for our book, which again is Rehumanize Your Business. Subtitle is How Personal Videos Accelerate Sales and Improve Customer Experience. So I did a few CS interviews around it. And one of the key things I heard was, and that was reinforced in this book, The Effortless Experience, is people hate to feel like a number. They hate a generic pat response. They hate that, kind of canned corporate feel. And so again, they want to be seen and heard. This is my problem. It's real. Or this is what I need help with. This is where I'm confused or stuck or frustrated. And so the key thing here is the ability to manage the tone, right? Like this happens with our customers. They think they've, let's say, worst case scenario, they think they've canceled their account, but somehow they get billed again. That sucks. That sucks for them, and it sucks for
We've all
us.
experienced that, yeah.
Right. And it's an honest mistake, but like they're angry in a lot of cases. Like, hey, you just hit my card for another $89 and I canceled this thing a month ago. What do you, fill in the blank,
Yeah,
such and
bleep,
such, blah,
bleep,
blah,
bleep.
blah, bleepity bleep at the most extreme. So the ability to just get back and say, hey man, I am so sorry. You did everything you were supposed to do and we let you down. We identified a system failure. You were one of actually 4 people affected. So I need to follow up with 3 other people on the same thing. I am so sorry. That is not the way we operate. We have already issued a fix. We've already issued the refund as well. Plus we've got a $10 Starbucks gift card on the way. Thanks for bringing it to our attention, and sorry you had to go through that. Sorry you had to take, a couple minutes and leave us that angry voicemail or send us that super pissed.
You're about to
But anyway,
regret.
again, hey, we messed up.
Yeah.
We're normal people. We are imperfect, but we have your best interest at heart.
Right.
We're solid human beings. We're doing the right thing, and we're sorry that you suffered through it. The idea is like reading the words "thank you" or "I'm sorry" in a typed out email kind of helps. But again, when you type out any message in the plain black text on the plain white screen, you're leaving it completely to the recipient as to how they want to read that message. Did they just have a great win? Did their kid just hit a home run? Did they just get chewed out by their boss? Did they just miss their quota and they missed their bonus that they were counting on because they booked that vacation anticipating the bonus? Did the dog just run away? You're completely leaving it to the, or is this the kind of person who just gets up on the wrong side of bed every day? I know some of those people. So you're leaving it to chance. So this allows you in all circumstances, not just CS, this allows you to control the tone. And in the case that it's a positive one, there's no confusing how sincere you are in your excitement or enthusiasm or sincerity, or on the bad side, how regretful you are or how concerned you are, or all these other types of things.
Yeah, the context and tone don't come across in black and white, whether it's a text message or an instant message or an email. You don't have that there. Even the way you described it, I love that we can talk about video, and then it somehow turns into a conversation about like self-worth and confidence and
well, again, that's all this is. It's just a way to package what's best about the way we communicate. Again, we've been on 2 feet for millennia. Hundreds of thousands of years, and almost that entire time, just until the past handful of generations, we've exclusively communicated eye to eye, face to face.
Right.
And it's only been, especially the past 25 years or so, that we've really broken it off and allowed time and distance to get on our way, and to think that these electronic tools are the solution to all of our problems. And tools are meant to be used appropriately, and you now have video available to communicate more clearly, to connect more effectively, and ultimately to convert at a higher rate. Again, micro conversions and macro conversions. Why not put that back into the mix and restore a little bit more of a personal touch to the work that you do? And the upside is it's also a more satisfying way to work. I hear that all the time as well. It's like, this makes what I do fun again. This reminds me of why I got into sales. This allows me to feel more connected to what's otherwise a name in a database. It's like, it's because again, it's about relationship, and that's what we thrive in. Even introverts like myself may not come through, but I draw more energy from solitude than I do from group settings. Although I do love a group setting now and then, and I love one-on-one conversations.
Yeah, me too.
I still thrive in connection with other humans. I still thrive in relationship. I prefer having dinner with 3 close friends than, a 20 top party, like that's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
as preferable for me. But regardless of how that manifests itself on the spectrum of introversion to extroversion or any other measure of human personality or tendency or likelihood, ultimately we come to life in connection with other people. And so that's what this is about. It's just,
Yeah.
but it starts to look like a marketing tactic or a sales strategy or something like that. And like, if we just walk it back to what it really is, I think it becomes less threatening and more inviting.
Yeah. And you can't fake it, right? We can't fake that time and attention, like you're saying. And if you do care and your company cares, then that comes through. But if you don't care, that may come through as well.
Exactly. That's so fun. I love that you went there. That's one of the cautions that I'll often throw out in a slightly flippant way that people always respond to favorably, like, oh, haha, that's cool. Which is, again, if you are not sincere about the value that you're offering, if you're not, don't do video, because your lack of sincerity or excitement or honesty will come through. And again, this goes to hundreds of thousands of years of human brain training where we're constantly scanning to say, can I trust? Can I trust?
Right.
Can I trust? Is this person kin? Is this person tribal with me? Is that, all the things that our brains do automatically through
Right.
constant, iterate, like millennia of iteration for us to be able to evaluate these situations. So when there's even a minor disconnect between see and say, like this, like the, again, micro expressions and those kinds of
Mhm.
things, if you want to get into like, interrogators and FBI people and stuff, the things that they're looking for is like, they're just more attuned to those minor discrepancies in what we're saying and the way that we're saying it.
Right.
But we all do it. We're just, it just doesn't say to us, for an FBI interrogator, it's going to be like sirens and alarms. For us, it's going to be like, I'm not so sure about that
Yeah,
guy.
something about that was off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the inverse is, like that 3 seconds, like the minute we got onto our call earlier this week and
Yep.
like, hey, let's get acquainted and talk about our conversation. Instantly, I'm like, man, I like this dude, right? Like
Right.
right away. And so I think if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're going to tend to be that kind of person that people are going to be
Survived this
attracted to.
long, then probably, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and just like, you want to improve yourself and
Yeah.
you're directly or indirectly part of this community, you're probably a pretty straight up, straightforward person who's looking to improve himself or herself and,
Right.
win the right way. And so you're probably going to be fine with video if you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah. I like that. That's a good tip. You're probably fine. This isn't the Black Hat SEO podcast,
Right.
right?
Totally. Right.
These aren't scammers listening to the show.
Yes.
These are like marketers and salespeople and other folks who just
Right.
really want to learn and improve and connect with people for sure. You're right. So cool to chat with you. Like, who are you? Where did you come from? How did you become this sage and all-knowing video?
I love that it comes across that
Enthusiast?
way.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people perceive us as like an overnight success. It's funny. So I was in local television for about a dozen years, running marketing inside local ABC, NBC, Fox affiliates. I did it in Grand Rapids, Michigan, in Chicago, and out in Colorado Springs, where I live now with my wife and my son. And it was super fun. I ran as essentially an in-house agency for the television station, its programming, its website, its social, et cetera. And it was a pretty fun job. And there's a real art to writing, producing, and editing spots and campaigns. Like
Okay.
this
Yep.
art form of like, how do I take this 2-minute news story and turn it into a 15-second promo that's like super compelling that I have to,
Right.
be there for?
Clickbait. Yeah.
Right. Yes, totally. But yeah, there are a lot of ways to go about that. Just like there are a lot of ways to go about sales and marketing. So, it was fun. It was interesting. I enjoyed the art of it. I enjoyed the creating part of it in particular. I learned a lot about leadership, but I knew I was done. Like when I took the job in Colorado Springs, I was pretty much done already. But when you've done something for 8 years and that's your entire professional working experience, I use that experience to kind of parlay into the opportunity to move out west just for fun. We didn't know anyone out there, but I'd been out there camping and hiking in Arizona and Utah and Colorado. So I knew it would be a desirable place to live. And I like the not too big, not too small size
Yeah.
of Colorado Springs. It's manageable. It's an easy place to live, great access to the outdoors, like awesome. And so, when I got to the NBC station in Colorado Springs, I met one of the two co-founders of BombBomb. Now he was the internet sales guy at the TV station. He had co-founded BombBomb with another guy I met shortly thereafter. And as I knew I was transitioning out of my career, I was working on an MBA and I was doing project work for a variety of people, including the guys at BombBomb. And just, I knew what they were up to. It was interesting. It was fun. They were awesome people. The core values were solid. Like I knew that whenever they could make an approximately competitive offer, and like the first probably 30 or 40 employees probably left a lot on the table to join the company. Because again, totally bootstrapped, friends and family money, growing on revenue and a couple debt deals. So it's not like we're sitting on 60 million in the bank and we're just like,
Right.
throwing cash around, especially not in the early days. And so I just sat at it. First marketing guy, only marketing guy for about 3 or 4 years. And so I knew that I needed to, and I'll kind of bridge into this evangelism concept a little bit so we can at least kind of check that box before we have to shut it down.
Sure.
But, I knew that I needed to, we were working on product market fit. We knew what we wanted to do. Like the other co-founder, Connor McCluskey, the guy I met at the NBC station was Darren Dawson. Connor was selling billboards or outdoor advertising.
Nice.
And he knew that he had grown his list like a junior sales executive, or a junior account executive, got handed enough accounts to keep the lights on and gas in the car tank, and was very effective at it. So really winning personality and was really clever about the way he was approaching the business and proving value to people. And so, he grew his list to the point where he couldn't stay in front of everybody as often as he wanted to. So he imagined, what if I could reach out on contract renewal or follow up after appointments or say happy birthday or show someone their board is finally up along the interstate and thank them again for their business. Like all these little things, like, because, he was only working the Pikes Peak region, but, some of his clients were 2 or 2.5 hours away by car.
Sure.
Some of them were buying regionally on behalf of a brand, but, buying through him locally. And so, he couldn't stay in front of people. So he had this imagination. What if I could just send videos and emails? So he'd put together a prototype, blah, blah, blah. So we had this idea and we had a variety of people using it. When I started, we had a few hundred customers. And as we were growing, I was just made it a point to understand who are these people. And so did everyone in the company, really. Like, what are we doing here? How are we, we know what we think we're doing, but how are we actually providing value? And so I was writing blog posts and, success stories based on my own usage of it and through customer interviews. And of course, if you're using video, it's easy to get a video testimonial or a story or to demonstrate how you're actually using the product. And so I spent years sharing how other people and how I was using it as well, and how other people in the company were using it, just to develop this concept that there's a better way to work. It's more effective, it's more personally satisfying, and it's in relationship with other people by replacing some of your plain typed out text with simple videos that don't require all the things you think you need, right? And so this is a story that I was developing for years. And so, got to a point last year. I always knew I was going to write a book. I just didn't know what it was going to be about and who it was going to be for. At first, I thought it was going to be kind of the story and the travails and the, the perseverance required to bootstrap a company to,
it changes, right?
To $20 million and all these things, right? But when I thought about it, I was like, well, it's not that I don't care about young company founders. It's awesome. I mean, that is the source of life in America. People starting and doing their own thing and creating gainful employment and cool opportunities and solving new problems. But that wasn't like, I wasn't so in touch with it that was the book I wanted to write. And also, like, who do we think we are? What have we actually achieved? Like, some level of success, but I still call us an awkward teenager. Like, we've gone through some stuff. We know a little bit about a little bit, but one leg's still longer than the other, and we're a little bit gangly, and we have some, maturation and stuff to do, and we don't know it all. So anyway, so that book was like presumptuous to me and like not super exciting. And then I realized it just needs to be this story of there's a better way to do what we're all doing every day. You're doing something every single day, which is typing it out and clicking send or post or share or whatever. And there are consequences to that you may not even be aware of. And technology has come around to a point where there's a better way. And so let me tell you what this is, why it matters to you, why it matters to your customers, why it matters to your employees, and why it matters to all of your stakeholders. Who's actually doing this? when are they actually doing it? Like, when
Right.
do I use video instead of text? How do I actually do it? What are some of the considerations? How do I do it? I do talk a little bit about BombBomb because that's my experience, but I also
Right.
get tons of how and strategic stuff, no matter what tool you're using. And then some advanced strategies like how to get more of your emails opened, how to get more of your videos played, how to get more replies, responses, clicks, whatever you're looking for there. And then follow-up strategies. What do you do with those 175 people who open the email but don't play the video? What do you do with those people to follow up and engage them, right? Like, you send
Right.
them the video for a reason. So we talk through some of that stuff. Or what do I do
Oh, they don't
if
even
I
watch
if
it.
if I, if I send a video email to one person and my alerts tell me they opened it, they watched the video, but they never replied or responded or clicked? Like, what do I do with that opportunity? So we go through some
Right.
advanced follow-up strategies as
That's
well.
all in the
So
book?
correct.
Okay,
Like,
cool.
so that's basically the outline of it. And so I got super excited about that. And two things happened. One, I got enough buy-in from the company to take about 70% of my time to get this thing written late last year. And I knew I had created this vacuum where I could pursue and do other things.
Right.
At the same time, I was able to do a guest podcast series on the Flip My Funnel podcast where
Mhm.
I was just personally interested in evangelism. And I knew Sangram Vajre from Terminus, whose title is, I think it's Chief Evangelist, but he
He's
calls
the
himself the
accidental evangelist.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he was like, hey, I'd be happy to do that interview with you, but if you get 3 more people, I'll run it as a guest series. And so I got Guy Kawasaki, who is the original evangelist at Apple,
Yeah, he is.
their first and last evangelist, which he was kind enough to and humble enough to point out, like, I don't know that I did that well because they never put another one in that position. And he also he's the current chief evangelist for Canva. I got Dan Steinman from Gainsight, which the company that wrote the book on customer success.
Nice.
And I got Dave Isbitsky, who is the chief evangelist at Amazon for Alexa and Echo. He was their very first employee in the voice division. He's a developer guy. And so I got this picture of what this means, and it like just totally fit us. And so I haven't fully brought to life the vision that I collected by talking with all 4 of those guys, which include
Right.
characteristics like removed from operations, right? You can't be in the day-to-day. This is about
Yeah.
bringing the outside, like what's going on out in the world, and bringing that into the company,
Yep.
and taking what's going on inside the company and evangelizing out into
Right.
the world. It's about, none of them had clear metrics or anything. So it's a little bit amorphous, and you have to have trust from the executive team that this person is actually providing value for the company, which I
Mhm.
have, and these other guys had with their team members. It involves, this is the most important one. It's about the problem, not about the product. And so notice through our conversation, I'm not doing this intentionally. I'm doing it out of sincere excitement about this opportunity for people. Like, yeah, I represent the company, but I'm talking about things that anyone listening can employ however they wish. There are a
Right.
number of tools out there. There's a bunch of DIY stuff. If you are using some video and you maybe picked up a few new ideas, you can incorporate them into what you're doing. It's like, I am deeply excited
Mhm.
about the idea that we're going to make a better way to buy and sell and work and live. If more of us just take a little bit more care to be a little bit more personal, it's going to be a better world. Like that, the exposure of face to face, eye to eye, message to message. I see you, I hear you, I understand you. It's just going to be better. And so that's what drives me. And that was, a motivating force to like decide to write a book when no one was asking for a book. We've
Right.
done hours of video training. Like, we demonstrate it, we show it. Like, what are you going to get by reading a book? Feedback is a lot. It's, it's useful for people. And so that's my excitement about it. And that's what evangelism is about. It's like in a formal role. It's not super
Mhm.
common. It's more common in tech than really any other vertical or industry.
Sure.
And because it's about this, there is a new way and a better way. So what Dan Steinman from Gainsight said was, if your company is actually innovating, you have to be evangelizing.
Mhm.
And if you look at this opportunity and you can't have someone in a position that says, hey, everyone, this is what's going on now, but there's a better way, and here's what that looks like. If you can't tell that story, then you're probably not innovating. And if you're not innovating, he questions the long-term potential for what you're doing. I mean, and
Right.
not everyone has to be like crazy cutting edge with their business. There are a lot of people that need really basic problem solved.
Mhm.
and you just happen to be a competent, warm person who honors all of her or his commitments to the customer. They refer you, they like you, and you can create a great business without innovating constantly. But, especially in tech, if you are innovating, you need to be telling that story. And so I
Mm-hmm.
realized through those conversations, which were released throughout the month of March earlier this year, that several of us, and this is another thing Dan said, you're probably doing this by default. And it's, your co-founder and your CMO and your VP of sales and your, your director of customer success are all kind of doing it because those are the people
Right.
that are taking the speaking engagements or whatever. You're kind of doing this. But I think the most important thing, if you actually care about the problem you're solving, even more than you care about the transactional upside of taking a stage and just hard selling your product,
Mm-hmm.
it's just attractive and winning. It's more of a value play than anything else. And that's how you build movement. That's how you build community. And that's how, and the sales are a consequence. They're a downstream consequence. You need to tap into something that lights someone up and says, oh yeah, I do really win when I get face to face with people. And gosh, I guess I could use my webcam to do that. And even if
Mm-hmm.
you choose a competing product, you're not going to forget this conversation if
Right.
that's what was the spark to do it, or you're not going to forget chapter 5 of the book where you got those 3 ideas that instantly improved your sales process or whatever. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's kind of the spirit of evangelism and how I arrived there. So it was because I liked the guys. It was an interesting problem. It was fun. It allowed me to use my video skills, my personal photography
Mm-hmm.
passion, and my natural affinity for reading and writing. I've always been kind of a bookish type of person. So writing 500 blog posts was no big deal over
No big
time.
deal. No
Yeah,
big deal.
right.
Book's another story. I don't know. It sounds like you've survived that unscathed. I've got one coming out shortly on marketing automation. I've kind of experienced the same kind of energy just sharing, like, this is marketing automation. This is how to use this thing. Work with me. Don't. It doesn't even matter. Just don't not use this. Like, just make
Yeah.
sure you attack the problem. But yeah, books are hard. Books can be really hard.
Yeah, and but it's like anything, right? If you're listening to this and saying like, "Oh yeah, I have been thinking about that YouTube strategy." I'm not necessarily going to do that video and email stuff or video and social messaging stuff. Um, that's fine, but when you think about your YouTube channel and you want to have 50 videos up by this time next year, you don't need the script for your 37th video. You
Yeah.
just need to know what are the first 3 or 4, and it's the same thing with a book. You start with a really good outline,
Yep.
I didn't write a 70,000 word manuscript. I wrote like a dozen
How many words is
3,700
it?
word. What's that?
How many words do you remember?
Yeah, it was 70,000, but then my editor at Wiley was like, "No, dude, 60. I can only take 60." And so that was,
They killed it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And then Steve and I just and it's a much better book for it. Actually,
Oh, for
editing
sure.
is a big deal. Like the more you can, and I say this for any process, the more you can take away, be simple and clear, the better off you're going to be. And so Steve and I put our head down and ripped 10,000 words out of that bad boy.
It's true. That whole Mark Twain quote of, if I had more time, I'd write a shorter letter. I had that same experience happen where, I don't know where the number was close to the max or we'd contracted. And Kim took a first hit on my team at the manuscript, and she murdered like 10, 15,000 words. Just, and then I go through and I'm like, okay, yeah, that was just me being, murder, murder, murder. And it just got,
Yeah.
but it's better, right? It's clearer. And then somebody else helped. And I realized it's also, it takes a whole team to do that. It's not like a one man isolated event, especially, or woman, especially if you're writing like a business book or something like that, because you just need all hands in it to be able to help, tweak it and make sure it's optimized.
Yeah, it was killer. I mean, that was another recommendation from our editor at Wiley. His was more sales oriented. His motivation was more sales oriented, but the book is 1,000 times better for
Mm-hmm.
having Steve on as a co-author. It's like, so the proposal I put in is like, I'm writing this book, and he gave a couple pieces of pushback on the proposal, so I revised it and put it back in front of him before he committed to do the project. And one of his pushbacks was, who's your co-author? Is it your CEO? Is it your other co-founder? It's like, it depends. What are we talking about here? It's like, what the best way to sell a book is to speak. And so who's your co-author? Because doesn't sound like you travel and speak that much. I travel and speak a
Uh-huh.
lot more now than I did 2 years ago. But and so that was immediately with Steve. And again, we've worked side by side for years and done so much teaching and training together already anyway. But it
Yeah.
was awesome because, I would work this Google Doc. I would just, we had this outline,
Yep.
and we did that with our editor too. And then I would just write, and Steve was right on my heels in this Google Doc, like, this story belongs here. Check out this article. This would be a good statistic. There hasn't been a really good practical takeaway in recently enough. So let's add like a little framework or something that someone can take away, just to kind of, the trail that keeps you moving
I
through
like
the book,
that.
that validates the effort and all this. So he was like, I was down in the trees, or what I'll use forest and trees. Like, I was down in the trees. He was hovering right over the forest and could see it better, and was like reader advocacy and another point of view, and like things that aren't clear or things that could be better. And then of course, internally, we had a couple people that were, that really diligent personality that was a little bit like, is this clear enough? And then another layer of, is this actually technically accurate? Not necessarily Chicago style manual deal, but like a straight
Right.
proofreading.
Right. Did you always know? I mean, take me back. I mean, you went to school for like psych, right? Did you always know you're going to come into something like this?
No, I had no idea. I was a student first and foremost. Did really well in high school. Did really well in college in terms of grades and showing up and engaging and
Was
participating.
that
And
like your thing growing up? Like,
yeah, I just liked school. It was fun and easy and engaging for me, and I really enjoyed it. And so, but you start getting those letters. They're like, "Hey, what's your major, dude? What's your major? What's your major?"
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I look at what I can do, and so I could finish communication and psychology in the 4 years time. And so I start seeing these signs for the public relations club, finally putting together that I need to figure out some gainful employment in a year and a half.
Right.
So I go back to Grand Rapids from Ann Arbor that summer, between my junior and senior years at the
Okay.
University of Michigan. And so I reach out to a bunch of TV stations, and I end up getting an internship with a Fox affiliate there. And
Okay.
um, that was the start of that. I mean, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't take any broadcast classes, even though I could have in the communication department. It was a hardcore kind of a like liberal arts program. They didn't like to do a lot of hands-on stuff.
Right.
Whereas I could have gone to a school that was like at the time, like a radio and television school that was like, you would get really familiar with all the equipment.
Sure.
It's really practical and hands-on. This is more theoretical. And so, no, I didn't. And again, I just met these guys by chance. I came out here, working another TV job. I did start exploring what else I could do. I'd encourage anyone to do that. And this isn't like side hustle type stuff. My side hustle has always been my job. My side hustle at BombBomb is BombBomb.
Nice.
Like I just go all in. Like, and if you're
Yeah.
not that excited about what you're doing, then you need to do what I did, which is build a reasonable bridge where you're exploring other opportunities. And it could be starting a business. I'm not going to criticize anyone's approach, but for me, I like to double down on what I'm doing. And if I realize that what I'm doing isn't the right thing for some reason, then I might pull up some stakes and start investing some of my time and energy and thought and emotion and those lunches and those coffees. Who am I having those with? And
Yeah.
and it's going to start to look a little bit different. So right now, what that looks like is team members and customers and things where I'm just like all in on what we're doing. But, if the day ever comes, you just kind of change it up a little bit. So no, it all makes sense in hindsight.
Yeah.
But I had no real plan. I mean, I had no real plan.
Just kind of rolled with it.
You just show up every day,
Yeah.
do the right thing. You engage with the people around you. You try to operate from a position of integrity in thought, word, and deed. And it's pretty much just going to work out.
Yeah.
If you're, and if you can do things like identify your real skills and what really lights you up, and be honest with yourself about what you're not good at, and should I just kind of not do as much of that, or should I try to get better at that? And it's like, this building into your strength versus overcoming your weaknesses, and you work some of that stuff out. I mean, I've had the privilege of a few coaches. I've never been, don't have like a life coach or a business coach or anything, but I've had, some of the people I've worked for have been kind enough to invest in the leadership team and, get some team dynamic work and get some one-on-one work and stuff, where you start to think a little bit more about some of those things. But, in general, I think just showing up every day, paying attention, listening, operating from the right spirit, not being just about yourself, staying focused really on the value to the customer, no matter your seat in the organization. Like, I just struggle to imagine that it's going to go wrong. It might not always go the way you expect, but it should work out in the end.
Right.
Not that bad things don't happen to good people, but
that is great advice. No matter what seat you're in, what department, how early or late you are in your career, it's those are like principles you can live by.
yeah. And they're no different than they were 100 years ago. It's just the
Right.
tech is different.
Tech is different. Hey, this is fantastic. Where can people connect with you? Get more information on BombBomb? Is there a free trial? All that. Throw some links out at us.
Cool. Yep. If you want to reach out to me for any reason, you can hit me up on LinkedIn. It's Ethan Beute. Last name is Beute. You can email me, Ethan, ETHAN at BombBomb.com. You can try BombBomb free. Again, we make it easy to record and send videos, track your results from Gmail, from Outlook, from Salesforce, from Outreach, from our own web app, from 2 different mobile apps that we have, 2 each for Android, 2 and 2 for iOS. That's our whole goal. So you can try it free for 2 weeks. Just visit BombBomb.com. It's basically on every single page of the website. If you are interested in Rehumanize your business, Amazon's been having it over 40% off, which is crazy.
Wow.
So it's like $16 or $15, something like that, or even 14. I think that's at 14 and change. You can find that at Amazon, or you can go to BombBomb. It's just the word bomb twice, BOMB.com/book. And if you want to hear conversations about creating better alignment between sales, marketing, and CS in service of your customers, you can check out BombBomb.com/podcast, called the Customer Experience Podcast.
Awesome. And you got me hooked up. I'm on that trial now, and I'm actually excited to get my numbers of videos sent up, and then chat again maybe sometime in the future, catch up and talk about all the other things we don't even have time to talk about today, and I'll be able to kind of share with you the numbers. I'll send you an email. I hit 100, and
awesome. Love it.
see what happens. So I'm
Yeah,
definitely
please
gonna do that. Get that courageous mindset. Just go for it.
Yeah. And what'll happen is if you send 10 videos, I promise you're going to get a couple replies and responses that let you know this is different, this is worth it. And to go to the soft side again, I am good enough.
I am good enough. And that is and you, sir, are good enough. You're great enough, actually.
Man, thank you. It's been super fun. I love what you're doing. And it's a privilege to spend an hour with you.
Absolutely. And for everyone out there listening, if you've learned something, and I know you have, because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here. I've run out of paper. I'm running in like the margins and drawing and stuff over here. So share this with someone. Be a thought leader, even to one person, and get this information out there on video, on the authenticity, all these things. And do check out BombBomb and let me know. Send me a BombBomb. Send me an email. I'd love to get that and see what you're up to. But Ethan, thanks again, man. This has been fantastic.
Sure. Thank you. And here's my call to action for you and your listeners.
Yeah.
If you like this podcast, if you have heard several episodes and you've periodically heard, go leave a review and you've never done it, do it. It's super helpful to Casey and to the rest of the community. If you find value in this, take a minute and just go leave them a review. You don't even have to write anything if you don't want to. Just click the 5-star.
That's it. Click the 5-star.
Yeah.
Boost that rating up there.
It helps.
Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. And for everyone out there, this has been the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will catch you all next time.